Okay, happy 18th of January, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. We're going to get started with our meeting, and thank you again for being on time. Happy birthday today to Chris. Max is later this week, and Toby's is on the 30th. So happy birthday to everyone having a birthday in January. I would just like to kind of again push for Refer and Earn with Weichert. It is a great way to make some supplemental income. We are always looking for agents, especially in Queens and the Bronx, in case you know of anyone who works up there or who's willing to work up there. We're still getting a pretty nice number of Rocket Homes leads in those neighborhoods. So if you do know of anyone, you can send the referral through this website. Great way to make some supplemental income if they do decide to come on. And again, happy to speak with anyone that you do know who's thinking about getting their license or who is already licensed. Okay, I've been reading a book, Fanatical Prospecting, and I think, again, a lot of what we're going to be talking about over this next month or two is going to be about prospecting, but this is from Jeb Blount, who is a sales coach and stuff like that. There's no easy button in sales. Prospecting is hard, emotionally draining work. There's the price you have to pay to earn a high income. Again, we are all in a sales role, right? And the number one thing that sales, individuals need are prospects. And there are a number of ways of getting them. And, the easiest way to get more people to work with is to reach out to more people. And there are a million ways to do that. And the hardest is picking up the phone. And that's probably actually the most lucrative, talking to people that you don't know. I was having a conversation with Kathy before about all the opportunities that she has to reach out to people based on properties that she's working on. And no matter who you're working with, what you're working on, or if you say, I have no business whatsoever, there are reasons to reach out to people to let them know about this market, right? For buyers, it's a interesting time to buy, even though interest rates might be a little bit higher, and Doug will talk about this a little bit more. They have come down a little bit. There are great programs out there for potentially lower interest rates, or to get a seller to buy down their rate for the first year or two until they're able to refinance with lower rates, hopefully expected in the next few years, I would say. If you have a property for sale, it's a great reason to reach out to the neighbors. If you have a buyer looking for something and there's nothing on the market, it's a great time to reach out to everyone who lives in that neighborhood, right? So, prospecting is hard, right? You have to make hundreds of calls to get a response. But if you don't have prospects in your pipeline, your income at the end of this year will be low, right? And again, we can talk about this. If you need help, feel free to come in. We can prospect together. I know some people are going to be doing it later this afternoon here in the office. We did it, we do it every Wednesday from 10 to 12. For anyone who does want to do it here in the office, I can help you with your scripts, your dialogues, and things like that. But it's hard, right? You got to do a lot of work and you get a lot of no's, but it's all about getting to that yes and getting past the point where you're uncomfortable doing something. Again, Tuesdays workshop at 12. I always send out the video. Feel free to come in for that. Wednesdays 10 to 12 prospecting, before the meeting on the every other week when we do have the meeting. Feel free to come in. So we have a new buyer lead source available. It is through StreetEasy. It's a great way to get new buyers who are looking in certain neighborhoods that you want to work in. And in order to get onto that program, you have to commit to 1 hour a week in the office of prospecting, either 10 to 11 or 11 to 12 on Wednesday. These are buyer leads primarily in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and there are some in the Bronx and Queens. If you would like to get on this program, let me know. We can work out a schedule for you to come in. Part of this is learning how to convert these leads, and we've got some really great ways of doing that. And again, if you are looking to work with buyers, Dewey actually signed up for this program not too long ago, and he's already working with a handful of people, four people after a week on the program. So there is a time commitment to this, right? You need to be willing to prospect and to follow up with these people, but these are great buyers. And again, out of how many leads would you say you've gotten so far?
I've it's 6 leads, so 4 are.
6 leads, 4 of them are good. So again, a amazing conversion of that. So, and that's not just because of the leads, also because of doing the follow-up steps he does, which again we'll go over during this prospecting and kind of training session. Again, one hour a week, not a long time to be in the office. So again, email me if you would like to be a part of that program. Again, our calendar. Today there's nothing from corporate, but tomorrow, DigiSign basics. Again, you guys got the emails from Amanda that I've been forwarding out about her workshops. These supplement the ones that I do. These supplement your corporate ones. Again, what we want is for you guys to have opportunities abounding, and that's why there are so many different kind of training programs, prospecting programs, times that are coming up and stuff like that. Again, one of the biggest things, which we'll continue to talk about, is getting organized and getting a schedule together for yourself, and make time for these workshops. If you are not on Weichert Direct, if you're not getting the Weichert Direct leads or being able to do the call sessions, next Wednesday from 1 to 3, they are having the specialist certification. I definitely recommend doing that. And Monday the 30th, Accelerate is starting, right? Accelerate is our Weichert new agent training program. If you are a new agent, if you're new to Weichert, if you want a refresher course, let me know and we can get you enrolled on there. Again, you can enroll directly through that calendar that I sent out, or I can go over with you how to enroll in that. It's a great program to start your business, to jumpstart your business, to learn a lot of the ins and outs of working in real estate. So again, just a plug, because a lot of people are having questions about this. SkySlope is the only way that we are accepting deals now, right? You can't just send me an email with a contract and a deal sheet. Everything needs to go into SkySlope. There are SkySlope trainings run through Weichert and through SkySlope every Tuesday and Thursday. Any deals that close since December 1st must be in SkySlope. And again, Tuesday from 1 to 2:30, Thursday from 6 to 7:30, they have the associate training sessions, right? This will teach you how to use SkySlope. The nice thing about SkySlope is all of our required documents are in there now. So when you get a new buyer, a new renter, a new listing, a new rental listing, you can do all the documents directly through SkySlope, send them to your customer. They're all already in the system. Again, if there are documents that you're missing from before, you can get those and send them to your customer or your seller or landlord directly through the system to get those done. Again, anything that closed December 1st or forward needs to be in SkySlope. And just a reminder, for every rental and sale deal, there are now 4 disclosure forms, 4 pieces of paper that are needed. The agency disclosure and the anti-discrimination form, which you guys are all very familiar with. And there are 2 newer ones, right? The third is the wire fraud notice, which tells people that wire fraud happens and not to wire anyone money without clearing it, with you or with someone beforehand, right? This is a Weichert form that has been in use for about 2 years now. We have not been kind of pushing too hard to get this done. This needs to be in with every deal now. The fourth is the RESPA disclosure, right? This allows your buyers, sellers, landlords, and tenants to understand that Weichert is not only a real estate firm, but is also an insurance company and a mortgage company, right? We have affiliated services. This does not require that they use any of those services, but it fulfills our fair housing obligation to tell them about those services, right? If you only tell half your clients that Weichert has an insurance company, if someone closes and says, hey, Anthony, sorry to pick on you, Anthony never told me you guys had a an insurance company, we can be sued, right? Because we have not protected them and let them know about all the services that we have. And so these forms are required for every deal that you have. Again, for a rental deal, there is a 5th form. There is the tenant registration fee agreement. When you are working with one renter insuring multiple properties, again, that's a fair housing telling them what the maximum amount of our fee is, which is 15% of a year's rent. Again, 5th form, but these 4 are needed for every rental and sale. Again, these are all available in SkySlope. When you create a new customer, when you create a landlord, when you're about to get a listing signed, all these forms are available to include in the packet that you're sending out to the person that you're working with. So again, if you have any questions about these, please reach out to me directly and I can help you find them. Again, I'll be doing some more videos over the next week about, how to add a customer into SkySlope, how to add a listing, all that stuff, and sending it out, just so you guys have a better sense. And again, in the SkySlope system, we kind of have two sides of any deal, right? A landlord or a seller, a buyer or a tenant. Again, some of the forms might say buyer and you're working with a tenant. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Buyer and tenant mean the same thing. Listing and landlord mean the same thing.
What if, like yesterday, I took out a life supply and sometimes
Yep, you can print all of these forms as well, right? Well, what I recommend doing is in SkySlope, creating a customer. That way all the forms will be filled out. Instead of emailing it over to them, you can just print, you can download and print that, and you can bring it with you. Not a problem whatsoever. You can also, in the library, you can find all the forms in case you just want to print blank stacks of everything and hand fill it in. Not a problem. Again, I recommend sending it through SkySlope. That way it's already associated with them.
Sometimes it's just like, especially with the agreement, like meaning that.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, if it works better that way, again, all of these should be signed at first substantive contact, which is basically the first time you take someone out to see properties. So again, any questions about that, ask me kind of offline. I think it's a little bit easier than getting bogged down in it here together. So again, just a reminder for anyone who didn't hear, we are moving offices in March. Our new office is 27 Union Square West, Suite 308. A little bit bigger office, a little more central to the location. It is in kind of full-time elevator, doorman building. We have a nice kind of a little bit bigger office than what we have now, all on one floor. Couple smaller rooms for people to do prospecting and call sessions in. A couple shared offices and things like that. Big open area. Really nice space. I'm excited for the move. We'll be moving sometime in March. I'll be giving you guys details about that. Again, we'll help order new cards for people. The one thing I am telling people is if you are ordering a sign, right? Use this address on the sign right now. That way you won't have to get the sign redone instead of using our current address. So again, any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me. And legally, this will be our office address as of the beginning of next month. So insurance update. Again, Jamie can't be on the call today. Jamie is our Weichert Financial insurance advisor. Again, a great resource to introduce to any of your buyers or renters. He can help with homeowners insurance, car insurance, renters insurance, life insurance, basically anything except for health insurance. And with that, I will give it over to Doug, and I have the slides for you, Doug.
All right, thanks, Jason. All right, so I'm just going to give you the same as I always do, just an overview, brief overview of what's been going on in the market and specifically how it relates to retail mortgage rates. We had some good news last week. The headline report was about consumer inflation, and the number was more favorable than I think a lot of people expected. So it continues to sort of show that inflation, which has really been the big driver of interest rates, well, certainly in the past year, but it always has a factor, but it's been really what's been causing rates to move around a lot. It continues to be moderate. So this is good news for rates. Last week, rates started to rise a little bit in the beginning of the week. And then in a direct response to this consumer inflation number, they tapered off quite a bit. So all good news. Next, we always have different reports coming out. Consumer price index was last week. Producer price index is this week. Hopefully that will be in line and show moderate inflation as well, as there's other reports that are coming out as well. But so far, so good. It seems to be tapering off. We seem to be plateauing and rates are moving in the right direction. So let's take a look at the next slide. Here's where we are. So we're at 609 for the week. This is the average of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae across the country. There are going to be pockets which are a little higher and a little lower, but this is a national average. And you can see just 2 weeks ago, we were at 6.3. And about 4 or 5 weeks ago, we were over 7. So it's quite a bit of a drop in a relatively short period of time. I've been doing this a long time. Normally that would be a big headline, but since it's been so volatile in the past 12 months, it's just sort of gets blended in. But the good news, as I mentioned, is rates are going down a bit and they're not as volatile. So this is good for buyers. And another thing to remember is if you're working with a buyer, because they've been moving around a lot, they may be able to buy more or less of a house right now, more than when they first started buying potentially. I mean, when they were pre-approved, depending on when that was, the numbers might be different. So it's a very good idea to get the pre-approval rechecked, and I'm happy to do that. even if they're working with another lender, if you just want to make sure they're looking at the right price point, I'm happy to have a discussion with them just to reevaluate their pre-approval and make sure their borrowing amount is correct. Let's go to the next slide if we could. So this is an interesting question that I get asked all the time. So the Fed continues to raise rates. They're expected to raise probably 25 basis points in the next two meetings. And we just talked about retail rates falling. So how is that possible? How is the Fed raising rates while retail rates are going down? So the Fed is really looking at short-term money. There's overnight money. Banks have to have a certain amount of money on hand in relation to the amount they're lending. So they'll borrow money from the Federal Reserve or from other banks, and that's what the Fed directly controls. They indirectly have an impact on retail rates, which is what customers get when they're getting a mortgage. So the market, the mortgage market, the bond market, if you will, they're not looking so much at day to day, although it does impact them. They're looking more at what's going to happen in the future. So if the market feels that inflation is coming down, which it does at the moment, it's going to reflect that. So retail rates can go down at the same time while the Fed is raising. Let's look at the next slide. Here's just an example of something that we don't think about too much. People tend to go with a 30-year fixed and then sometimes a 15-year fixed. So there's another option in the middle, which is 20-year. So it has some advantages. You don't have the high payment in relation to a 15-year, right? It's stretched over more years. And of course, you pay it off quicker than a 30-year. So this example of an equity booster is with a 2-1 buy down. A buy down, is that you pay a fee, the customer pays a fee, or sometimes the seller might pay a fee rather than lower their
Doug, I think we lost you. Um, sorry, guys. Let's give this a second. Okay, unfortunately, I think we may have lost Doug. Can you guys still hear me?
We can hear you, Jason.
Yeah, I can hear you, Jason.
Okay, thank you. I think unfortunately, we'll keep going. But again, you can always speak to Doug about options to help people, with adjusting payments and things like that. Again, he was going to talk about the advantage of a 20-year mortgage. Again, it's usually less than a 30-year, not as much as a 15-year, and they're pretty close to 15-year rates, actually. So again, a way if someone can make a little bit higher of a payment, maybe someone who's a little more financially conservative wants to put a little bit more towards, their principal every month, this is a great thing that they can do. And again, they're going to waive lender fees for refinancing for anyone who goes through Weichert Financial, which is a great way. Again, if someone's a little iffy of where interest rates are going to go and think it's going to drop in the next couple of years, this is a great way they can save some money on the refinance.
I have a question while we're on the topic of mortgages, because it's a question that's coming up with some of the new buyers who are just looking or beginning to look in the market.
Sure.
And I know it's kind of like all over the place right now. It's, but as Doug had said, it's kind of stabilizing a little bit now. I know we can't predict the future where it's going to be, say, the fourth quarter. But what advice would you give to a new buyer, other than to obviously speak with Doug? But is there something that we could say to them that might, encourage them a little bit to work with us?
To take someone off the fence who might be thinking about waiting to buy versus buying now.
Yeah, because they don't like they're a little scared, I guess.
They're scared of what's happening with the market. Sure. So how would anyone kind of react to that, right? Anthony's question is, you have someone who's on the fence. How do you talk them off the fence and get them to buy now versus waiting or being hesitant about the market? So, does anyone have something they would say to their
On market rates or specifically interest rates? On mortgage rates in general, I have buyers both above and below $650,000 loans.
So one of the things that I do is I take them through a 50-year chart which is something I'm sure Doug would would advise too. And just to help put it in perspective, you know, I talk about the fact that these 2% that we were coming off from really wasn't normal. It was a special case, hasn't happened really in 50 years,
Right,
and it's very difficult. So I acknowledge that it doesn't feel good, but I also showed them the interest rates over that 50 years, and in the not too distant past that have been much higher. And that's your ammunition to say, it may not feel good right now, but it could go higher. So right now, 6%,
And
really
you
not
lock
bad.
it in for, how long can you lock it in if you were to get a rate right now?
Usually to lock the rate, you need a accepted offer or contract out. So that's kind of what it's based on.
I've seen rates
Yeah, Christine saying she see, yeah, there are ARM products, there are a number of different products that you can get rates, I think, that are in a more compelling area. I think the other thing in my mind to think about is that, you know, right now is a opportune time for people because a lot of people are on the fence, right? We see this when we see kind of a downturn that there's this kind of like plateau at the bottom where in 3 months people are gonna be like, wow, I wish I had bought in January. Right. And the reason for that is because there are going to be so many more people on the market looking for places in the spring. Right. Right now we have a little bit of a depressed inventory. And at some point, inventory is going to kind of go up. But I think the number of people looking are also going to go up. And so right now you have a really opportune time for people who are willing to take that little risk. Right. Or risk. And again, to me, it's not a risk. A lot of people, if you do the math, and Dewey and I did these numbers for one of his customers, even if you look at the rates in the 6s, if they're renting versus buying, right? Where are rents right now? They're at historic highs. And so they could be saving money by buying, even if they say, oh, I have a little high rate, great, refinance in a couple of years, right? If rates do go down. You're still buying something before all these other people are buying, so you're probably getting a little bit better price. And you're potentially saving money by not throwing money away on rent, right? We're in a weird position compared to, again, you know, most other white group markets, people own, right? And it's either do I own this or do I own something bigger, do I own this or do I own something smaller? For us, there's a kind of cost benefit of renting versus buying.
Right.
And for a lot of people, you're going to actually save money every month, even if you feel like you're paying a little more.
And that's 6%. And I like to tell them, I like to use this line, you know, you marry the price, you date the rate. So if in the future the rate does go down, you can always say it goes down, you know, down to 5 or 4.5 or something, you could refinance.
You can always refinance, and there are costs associated, but you can still get a better potential price and stuff
makes
like that.
sense.
So, yeah. Okay, so trivia question for a resale: which appraisal calculation carries the greatest weight? A, the cost approach; B, sales comparison approach; C, the income approach; D, all three carry equal weight. B saying sales comparison approach for Tom.
All three.
All three we have from Christine.
I would say D.
D, all three. All three. Christine. D, all three. Marty says B is logical, but probably B. Doug usually has the answer, so I have to check my phone. Hold on a second. Let me tell you. I think I know what it is, but and Doug says he apologizes. His yeah, I think it's B, but let me confirm that. Yeah. So the I could be wrong. So again, the income approach C is for investment properties. That's when you're looking at the income on a property and okay, yeah, it is B. Cost approach is usually, I think, for commercial properties, it's more on like the cost of the property based on other things. Sales comparison, again, is what most appraisers use. They say what recently sold that's comparable to this property, right? That's when you get an appraisal back, you know, they usually have three, you know, they have the property plus 3 comparables, and then on another page they have another 3 comparables, but they use the 3 most direct ones. So that's the sales comparison approach. Oh, okay, so extra credit, what types of properties would the other 2 approach match up to? Again, I went over that. Okay, congratulations. We had a good number of rentals over the last 2 weeks. Sarah did her first rental anywhere, so congratulations to Sarah. Again, many of you met her at the party. Sarah is also a licensed architect in New York. So again, someone you might be able to introduce to some of your customers. Her cards are upstairs, kind of right when you walk in on the right. Again, she has a architectural services company as well as working in real estate, both here and in New Jersey. And congratulations to Dewey on his first rental with us here at Weichert. So congratulations. Also, Michelle, Nicole, Stephanie, Zach, Michael, Tanya, Leslie, and Paris all had rentals. I know some people have more coming in. Eunice and Stephanie had a contract signed. Congratulations to them. Laura and Will have new sale listings coming up, so congratulations to them. Ken and Christine F had closings. Congratulations to you, Christine. Got a lot of people in the office today. It's good. And with that, I always, again, like to take some time if anyone has a new listing or is looking for a listing for a specific buyer they would like to announce. Anyone have anything new they're looking to sell or rent? Marty, do you want to talk about your new listing?
Yeah, thank you. And hi, everybody. Thank you, Jason. It's a studio apartment, 4th floor elevator building in Inwood, Upper Manhattan by 215th Street and Broadway. It's probably underpriced. It's a 248,000, about 500 square feet. And the maintenance is probably the sweet spot. It's $511, which is the cheapest in the entire neighborhood. And it also has a garage attached to the building with the short waiting list. So yeah, a lot of pluses. It's right by the 1 and the A train. Again, 248,000, 500 square foot studio. Beautiful building. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Marty.
Yeah.
And I have, one water, they're beautiful. One of them is rent stabilized. Prices are 2,000 to 2,200. So if you have anyone looking before I list it, yeah, let me know.
Awesome. Thanks, Christine. Oh, sorry. We're basically done with the slide, so it says thank you. Thank you, guys. Again, feel free to reach out. If we haven't done a one-on-one yet, send me an email with some times and days that work for you. Love to meet with everyone by the end of next week. Did a lot of them. We kind of go over your business from last year and talk about how to get to your goals for this year. Again, just one last kind of market update, I would say. I was out with a buyer in Chelsea, Tribeca, and the Upper East Side this past weekend. And I would say there was a ton of people out, right? Like it was crazy to see the difference from a couple weeks ago to today. Buyers are starting to wake up, right? Again, interest rates dropped down a little bit. People are starting to think about what they're going to do for the next move. The spring market is, for all intents and purposes, I think, already here. And so take advantage of it, right? If you have buyers, get them off the fence. If you need talking points on that, let's talk. People are going to say, wow, I should have bought in January, because I think by the end of this month, it's going to be crazy again. So again, a great opportunity out there. Actually, yesterday afternoon, just to say another point, I was with another customer in Park Slope, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. They underpriced it. They priced it at $999, and they basically had like 50 people at the open house. It was crazy. So there are lots of buyers out there. There are lots of people out there. Sorry, Brooklyn's so crazy, right? Yeah.
My buyers in Park Slope are getting
Outbid. We still have bidding wars, right? So, again, the market is not dead by any stretch of the imagination. Especially, again, do the math with people, right? Say, how much are you paying in rent? Look at the rent, look at what they're looking at with a 20% down payment and compare the numbers. And don't forget, they have a bunch of tax savings from the interest on the mortgage, from property taxes, and or the maintenance deduction. And they own a house, right? They're building equity every month, right? To take even the smallest number that they're putting in, again, most of the time, the first couple of years, you're paying more in interest than equity. But, I'll use, again, I have a very small mortgage for the house we have upstate. It was a very inexpensive purchase, but every month we're paying interest, but we're also paying $500. So every month I'm making $500 back on what I'm paying into there. So again, a great thing to always remember the benefits of home ownership. So thank you guys again. Have a great rest of the day, and I'm available if you need me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.